Welcome to Business Talk on Business Tech, South Africa's biggest business news website. And we're talking all about technology and disruption today. And when normal is detached from the business equation, it's often up to organizations to prove that they can think on their feet, to move with the change, to be innovative and to be agile and get ahead of that change. And it's been the case for almost every business since last year. Organizations have had to be agile and in most cases accelerate their digital transformation journeys. Really, it has been the accelerant on the fire of digital transformation, this pandemic. And I'm joined now by Morne Laubscher, who's Chief Technology Officer at Logicalis. Morne, welcome to the show.
Hi, Michael. Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Now, Logicalis, and I'm excited to have you on the program because you've got a global view, a UK-based IT company and infrastructure service provider as well. You're owned by Datatech, which is a very well-known South African Joburg-based IT company as well. What does the business landscape look like amid this digital acceleration that I referenced in the introduction?
Yes, so I think from a South African lens perspective, we're quite fortunate in that, as a global systems integrator, although, we've got a pedigree and we're well known and we've been in the market active for over 20 years, the South African operation is fairly new. We started the South African operation just under 5 years ago. And quickly moved into starting acquisitions and growing a fairly healthy footprint as an integrator. But the important piece is that we had no legacy. So when we started the business, we started the business as an innovation hub from a global perspective. But more importantly, we were afforded the opportunity to build these modern services and capabilities that this new digital landscape requires without any legacy influence. And I think that set us up really well as a provider of these modern services into the local market.
Now, what do you see, given this environment of needing to be agile, needing to transform digitally almost overnight? What are the current challenges that you're seeing with the models that are being adopted? Because one gets the sense that many systems and processes were implemented out of necessity more than perhaps as strategically as they could have been thought out, and we might be caught short as a result of that. What do you see as some of the current challenges?
Absolutely. So I think, from a digital adoption perspective, there was obviously a big focus on communication, making sure that businesses can continue to trade in a secure and compliant manner. And these platforms were quite easy to adopt. But, these hyperscalers like Microsoft has many other digital platforms that one can adopt to transform and improve your business. And that is a very strategic discussion. It's not something that's going to happen organically. And it starts with a fundamental culture shift in the business of driving constant innovation and building a strategy that's quite modular and that can adopt these commoditized services easily. The days of building costly infrastructures are over. Certainly, historically, we saw only really big companies being able to afford the innovation that artificial intelligence would bring, for instance, needing to build these costly infrastructures. Well, today, all of that's democratized. You can augment your business with these capabilities and drive the benefits that bring you. But it's a culture shift in the business. You need to drive that culture of constant innovation, improvement, being modular, being willing to part with needing to manage it yourself and trusting a partner like Logicalis to do that for you. If that shift happens quickly, I think organizations will be well set.
That culture can be so difficult to move away from an environment where those kinds of solutions were seen as generally the purview of big players with big balance sheets who could build out the kind of IT infrastructure required. And it really, to me, has been that convergence of, cloud, almost everything as a service, bringing down the barriers, bringing down the costs, making things like AI, machine learning, and bringing the Internet of Things all together. That is opening up this world of opportunity. And it's almost in every sector that I discuss on my various platforms at the moment. So you can't ignore it. When you look at the big investments, though, that are happening, what investments are businesses looking at to keep up with this digital journey? What's really front of mind at the moment?
So understanding the data, making sure that your data and AI estate is top of mind, that there's budget to invest in the innovations in that area. It's certainly a massive focus for the hyperscalers. They're driving a lot of R&D budget towards these platforms. Businesses are also very well positioned, some businesses, to adopt these concepts. And I think it's the future of business, So it used to be historically, the people that understood the finances ran the business. And although that's still very, very important, these days there also needs to be a big focus on understanding the data across your organization in order to make the right business decisions and in order to have the foresight to pivot what you do in the market and how you do it. So a lot of investment sits there within organizations that's getting it right.
That's interesting because it speaks of almost a T-shaped type skill set, as I eat my words a little bit there, but that T-shape being a deep specialization, be it in a finance function or engineering or systems, wherever, but having that ability to then cross-cut and realize where technology can really augment or enhance your business. How can businesses ensure that they remain agile in a rapidly evolving landscape such as this? Because I think many IT projects were traditionally long lead time, and you'd have to spend a lot of time to get it up and running. Now, I'm speaking to businesses who almost iterating and getting projects on the go. If you look at retail, how quickly retailers got that e-commerce last mile model done during the crisis, just phenomenal. So how do businesses ensure that they remain agile in an environment like that?
So I think organizations have a responsibility to expose the technologies to the general workforce. So it's beyond just the IT function in the business. The hyperscalers has done a good job democratizing these solutions. Microsoft's got a very good approach. They call it the citizen developer. So they say you don't need to be an IT specialist to create applications. They've created these consumption-based platforms. You can build any business app in a drag and drop manner to automate or streamline your function as a worker in an organization. You don't need to be a very IT literate individual in order to use these platforms. So driving access to the technology across the business, I think, is absolutely critical. And that speaks to driving adoption. So, enabling, training, working with organizations like Logicalis to drive what is the art of the possible, that mindset within the organization, in the business units, more so than necessarily the IT operation.
Yeah, and data literacy is increasingly important. And what does that mean inside your organization? What is data literacy? The ability just to work with Hadoop maybe and do kind of analytics and business intelligence and build your own dashboards. Does it mean you just understand the basics of Zoom or operating your PC or laptop? Very interesting internal questions. But back to your earlier point, it's culture. It's really comes from the C-suite, comes down from the top, and having the right partners. Now, if you look at the challenges in all of that and the technological challenges and potential new threats that may arise, how can those be minimized?
So I think it's important that businesses have a radical shift to modular design methodologies. So, ensuring that the technology strategy that you are working on and embarking on has a modular approach. You need to be able to augment your organization quite quickly in a heterogeneous manner, with technologies from hyperscalers and various providers. Also, many organizations like ours are packaging IP that already promises an output. So, the ramp up of that skill in your business is an expensive exercise, but is not necessarily required if you're willing to outsource or work with a managed service provider like Logicalis to quickly gain benefit in what we've packaged from a solution set perspective.
Now, from that, what measures has Logicalis actually put in place to help your customers through this digital transformation? Can you just give us some examples?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're launching a brand new commercial platform that's going to make it extremely easy for our customers to access these IPs that we have built. So, I think traditional integrators, the sales cycle and the consulting cycle on these solutions and the outputs they promise have been quite lengthy. So we've had a big focus from a platform perspective ourselves and transforming our business to make our solution sets easily accessible to customers. So we'll be launching that to market quite soon, and there'll be a lot on social media around that. And it's really about pivoting around the democratized approach that the hyperscalers have, and ensuring that people can access your skills and your services, in a similar fashion.
Freudian slip there, servers and
Yeah.
services are easily interchangeable in this world where the cloud really has democratized access to these incredible technologies. Morne Laubscher, Chief Technology Officer at Logicalis, thanks so much for sharing how you're seeing companies innovate and adapt to these ever-changing times, thanks largely to this pandemic. And let's hope we can get back to some semblance of normality sometime soon. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Michael.